Yogi fuckers and fuckettes. I've been talking to a kid up in Oklahoma. He's got a little problem with a clogged passage going to one of his needles, and I don't think I explained it right to him over the phone, so hopefully I did, but just in case I didn't. These CVKs are pretty close to what he's got on his V45, and the only V45 based power plant that I've got right now isn't even a V45. And I've got 5 or 6, but they're so far back in my storage that I ain't digging all them bikes out to get to them. I mean, I got a VF 1000 sitting up towards the front, but hell, it'd take me 2 hours to get the plastics off that sumbitch just to get to the carburetors. These are handy. They're real close. They're just not the angled bowls. Big deal. They're still CVKs. Everything should look about the same. But check this parts washer on here. When I first check out a set of passages for blockage, I'll go on ahead and use the fuel line like that right there. Normally, there we go. They all 4 pissed, but let's say one didn't. Pick this one on the end here. Well, that's where your needle for your float goes up in there. Some people call it a float pin, some people call it a float needle. I don't give a fuck what it's called. I still call them needles to this day because that's what I was taught. You know, you want to get proper and all that shit, fine. That ain't me. I mean, I was proper when I was working, but those days are over. I'm retired. Anyway, I don't have a piece of the right size hose laying handy, but I'll normally use an aquarium pump because it's not very much pressure. Today I'm using my parts washer because the impeller on my aquarium pump's tore up. I don't have the right size hose, but I'll put a hose on that sumbitch. It's like that right there, and that one ain't gonna stay. Sometimes you get lucky and they do. Sometimes you have to take a wire tie and go around that tower there to hold it in place. But you're using an aquarium pump, so there's not a whole lot of pressure. But you do put a hole, just a tiny one, no more than about a 1/16 of an inch in the side of your hose. That way, because you know you've got blockage. That pump will overheat, even with mineral spirits. And by the way, with them aquarium pumps, don't fucking use them to pump flammable liquids, and don't use them to pump regular carb cleaner. Use white mineral spirits, or use diesel, cut down a little bit with marble mistral. My favorite with the carburetors, I'll usually go just a hair heavier with the marble mistral than I would if I was, say, unsticking an engine. But in his case, it's varnish inside them carbs. I'd just use white mineral spirits. Anyway, I've got that on there, and all you do, I popped it off too, but all you do is keep that sucker on there with just a hair of pressure, and eventually it's going to flow out the fuel line, which it's already doing on this one because we knew it wasn't clogged to begin with. But it should flow in a couple hours. And in fact, that one's flowing out the overflow now. But and he was telling me that he was looking in his book and saw that they use a gauze filter up in there. I usually take that shit out because I always run a fuel filter in my line anyway. And I always get these fine ones. I don't like them paper filters. I mean, I have used them. Man, that fucker's clogged. Shit, that's off that 84 Goldwing, that's why. And that's an example of what varnish can do. It is varnish in there. I ain't gonna don't bother. I don't never try and clean these damn filters. I just throw them away and buy new ones. But I always get these ones with that copper shit in there. I don't like getting them. Yeah, I don't always get them because I can't always find them, and sometimes you got to use a paper one. But I always get them ones with that copper shit in there. That way you don't need that gauze shit in your carbs. So, like I say, I always throw that shit away anyway. Because, I mean, you got a screen in your tank if you got a filter in your line, which a lot of guys don't. You just don't need that shit. But, of course, if you're running a straight line, leave all that shit in there. Meantime, I hope that explained what I meant to him about pump that out. Now there's another little passage here that's tied into your main. Sometimes that passage will get blocked, but he said that all the rest of his passages were flowing good. I don't know no other way to explain it, but I am not from the school of, take the jets off or take the seat out. I mean, I'll take that seat out as a last resort. And if I stick anything in there, it's going to be a piece of plastic broom straw or something. It's not going to be anything metal, because you don't want to fuck up your carb bodies. And a lot of these shops, they will fuck up your carb bodies doing that shit, and they think that that's alright because they're not the one that's got to ride it. All they know is it left their shop running kind of okay, and yeah, I understand they don't want to charge the customers a fortune for time. It doesn't really take that much more time. I mean, I think half these shops, they'll fucking put something in the parts washer and bill them just for having it sit in there. But another question he raised was disconnecting the PCV line going up to his airbox. Well, that PCV line creates, it's positive crankcase ventilation, but it creates a way for your engine to vent, because there's always a little blow-by past your rings, and they always got to suck in a little bit, going up. Because they do suck and blow on the bottom side just like they do on the top. And it's supposed to be equal pressure, but it never is. So, I mean, decades and decades and decades ago, somebody came up with the idea, hey, let's put a PCV on there. That was a good fucking idea. Now, he was talking about these, taking that PCV out. And let me show you what happens to these slides when you do that shit. See, that PCV gives just a little, this bike that these carbs came off of was being run with stacks. Which was fine. I mean, it was a drag bike, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, if you look right here, I'm going to wipe that shit off so you can see. All that shit's all scored up. And that's because that PCV actually gives a little steam vapor, oil steam, I don't know how to call that shit, but it lubricates your damn slides. And your slides, when that bike is running, they'll be up about that far. They're never up very far. And I can tell just by where the rough is that where this bike was generally run, and you can tell by looking where this bike was generally run. And I mean, that shit's messed up looking at that. And I don't know what I did with that other slide. I had one that was really fun. There it is. And you can see now, a bike that the PCV is working properly and the airbox is assembled together properly, you don't see that. The reason you see that on this bike is because we were running them little K&N shorty stacks, and I did have them oiled at first, and somewhere along the line I got lazy and didn't oil them, and that's what fucked up my slides. You're supposed to put that air filter oil on them. Well, your PCV, in an airbox situation, that's what puts that oil on your filter. I mean, you put a little bit on it when you first put the thing in there, but the rest of the way, this is why you don't disconnect your PCV. Them slides, they're $30, $40 a piece, depending on where you get them. But all that scoring ain't good, and that creates air leaks up in the top of your carb, and Had these been plastic slides, they'd have been tore up from the floor up. But anyway, the point was to show them to just blow back, because I don't think that I explained it right on the phone. I never can say things in words as good as I can just do them. But like I say, I'll just blow back. And now if I'm using anything other than white mineral spirits, and white mineral spirits, don't leave it on your carbs for more than an hour. I'm good enough I can take these bowls off in the bike, but that's not me good. I've got good enough tools. I've got special tools for it. Even on a V45, I can still get the bowls off without taking the carbs off the bike. But so it ain't really a matter of I'm that good. It's a matter of my tools are that good. And as a last resort, take that seat out. Don't do it right away. And a lot of times, if it's on the bike and you've got a little aquarium pump, mine's, like I said, over there fucked up, so I'm using my parts washer today. Leave the other three in, and just take the needle and seat off. The one that you want to blow, the other three will fill up. Just remember to drain your bowls and flush them through with a little bit of gas or some Lucas afterwards, so that you get all that white mineral spirits out there, because that shit will fuck up some spark plugs quick. And you just want a little bit of pressure. But always when you use them aquarium pumps, whether you're using your stock fuel line, you know, put a little hole just past where it goes in. And normally if I'm doing just one carb, I'll use a little plastic shoebox like this. I've got others laying around the place. It's according to what I'm doing as to what size box I use, and I'm pretty sure, based on his experience, he's going to have to peel them carbs to get them passages clean. I don't know what his tool set looks like and how good he is with them, but I mean, he sounds like he's pretty good with them. But, here's another one that's just fucking stored. Anyway, that should have that covered. And like I say, I don't have the right size hose. Usually I'd use thin wall 5/16 and just pop over that one. Those carbs are pretty close to what he's got. They just don't have the angled bowls, and they're not, you know, they're not 2 and 2 on a box. They're all 4 straight across, but that's what's here and that's what's handy, so that's what I used. Because, I mean, a CVK is a CVK no matter what the fucking bowl angle is. It's still a damn CVK carburetor. So hopefully that explained it better than I did on the phone. And, I mean, you know, he's got it down to where, I mean, he knows that it's one carb that's just dribbling. So it's got to either be, yeah, I pulled this off. It's got to either be, oh fuck, I don't have a straight one. I've got a T though. Some of these are straight and some of them are T. It's got to be either that, and I have pulled these out and left a piece of that seal in there. And you see that hole in there, right there. When you put this in, that hole, part of it's covered up, so if you got a piece of shit from your last seal in there, that'll clog a hole, and that'll cause a needle not to flow no fuel. There's a lot of things, and he said something about that little gauze filter, and like I say, I throw that shit away. I just want a decent fuel filter in the line, me. I think all that shit's just a scam from Honda and Keihin to hit you up for more parts money when you go to rebuild your shit. I mean, they can't take the simple approach. Fucking kind of like goddamn Democrats. They got to put 50 fucking things in there to do one goddamn job, and that costs you more money. Anyway, check that little passage. That's, you know, I mean, if you can't blow through the fuel line and you can't, you know, if you've got the needle out, if you're getting a dribble at least, run it for a few hours with some white mineral spirits and see what's coming out. But don't forget that hole in your line. You got to have a little 1/16 of an inch hole, because otherwise you burn up one of them aquarium pumps. because it can't just produce pressure and not have any flow. It depends on having a little bit of flow to keep the pump cooled off. And if you're pumping diesel or if you're pumping white mineral spirits, you don't want that little motor getting hot, especially not when you're talking about something that plugs into 110. My pump's over there fucked up right now because I was running diesel and Marvel mixed through it. And with these little aquarium pumps, never run carb cleaner, never run anything harsh. And like I say, when you're done, if you have done it on the bike with just the one bowl off, go on ahead and drain all your bowls. And that brings up another thing that he mentioned. He said that when he's checking his carbs to see if they're good, that he'll just pull his screw back a little bit like that, which, yeah, if you've got one where this thing is not clogged, it will overflow. But if you're checking for flow on a bike that's been sitting, go on ahead and pull that bowl drain all the way out, set it off to the side, and then if you've got flow, you're going to see it, because it's going to come out one hell of a big hole instead of some little tiny thing that may or may not be clogged itself. Key and Mikuni, they all got a fucking bowl drain screw that comes all the way out, you know, pay attention there. But hopefully that said the shit a lot better than I did on the phone, because I mean I was in pain off the scale when I was talking to him and wasn't really thinking 100% clear, but I did. Anyway, hopefully hopefully that works for him, or explains it better. Alright, holler at y'all fuckers and fuckettes later. I'm gonna get this shit uploaded, and remember, don't use wire inside them carbs, and really me using a piece of plastic broom straw ain't the best idea in the world, but it's a lot safer than wire, and I just don't like scoring carb bodies. I'd rather take the extra time and just use mild solvents. Holler at y'all fuckers and fuckheads later.